got me so messed up, don't ignore the signs. We've had enough of the whole damn thing that we got going. You hold the strings without me knowing. Why do I have to suffer through the thinking? Why do I?
Hello, gentle friends, one and all. Oh boy, is this falling off the screen? It is! Haha!
Oh no!
It's myself and Kirby with a banner so large it cannot be contained within merely one OBS scene. Kirby, we are coming in to a recap of week number 6 of 7 of the NUEL's regular Blood Bowl season. What do you think of what the players have been giving us so far?
Well, the name of the game is Blood Bowl, and it has been an absolute bloodbath up and down the table. We've seen heroic displays of athleticism, we've seen punching, we've seen brutality, we've seen deaths, we've seen more deaths. Why are people still dying? Oh lord, it keeps happening. Oh lord. Well, the action has been incredible. As we go onto the scoreboard, you can quite clearly see we have our clear favourite for this entire tournament. That would obviously be OYBBL Represent, being coached by Masterful. From there, we have a few teams that are currently pretty well favoured going into the end of the season towards playoffs, that being Job Programming Mystery Inc. and the West Street War. And from then on, it is an absolute slugfest as to who gets those remaining 4 slots. Anyone from last minute team name through the Thunderstrikers and even onto the second page, they all have a good shot of making playoffs at this point, and it all comes down to these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think down to 14th place, we've got teams with 2 wins. Particular notes, you clocked the Dead Ends team who will be seeing play today and Last Minute team name, both with 3 draws each. That's enough points to count for a whole win by itself and keep them at the top of the 2-win teams.
Yes, absolutely. You can see the Spencers with 3 wins, technically sat below them due to their larger loss count, but again, in these last few weeks, anything can happen. The entire table could be well, not the entire table. The entire middle of the table could be turned on its head. But we are going to go into a few games shortly that could potentially determine these standings. As our first game of the evening will be the York team Dead Ends, coached by Tin Ear, against the Chosen Blood, the Chaos side, coached by White Game Wolf.
So we'll be jumping to that. We'll have a quick look at their rosters here. Hey, Lemon Blue, was that a broadcast on Sunday? I don't think so. Are you talking about Rebel or are you talking about NUEL, Lemon Blue? I can never remember who's from where.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, let's take a quick look at the rosters here. So for the Dead Ends team, notice they've got a few worthwhile skills and a lot of players who are close to leveling.
Absolutely, but most importantly, because they are playing Yorks, they have access to the Blitzers, which start with Block. Obviously also getting that level up on as Hag Smash Noz. Let's get that out of your mouth. Having access to the level up with the block as well. You go over to the side of Chosen Blood, you'll see very little in terms of block skills. You have a block on Bash, you have a wrestle, on Gishki Antlers. Try saying that twice fast backwards. But obviously, in like the head-to-head, I will obviously prefer the Orcs because they have the block access. And block is just a very good way of shutting down any form of offensive action taken against you. To counteract this, the Chaos side does have access to Horns, which is that +1 strength on a Blitz action. But because you only have +1 Blitz action per turn, +1 Blitz action per turn? You only have 1 Blitz action per turn.
Oh.
It can be very difficult to get good value out of it. To that extent, though, Mugalore, one of the beast men on this Chaos side, does have +1 strength, which basically means he is going to be permanently blitzing, and even when he does blitz, he has strength 5, which with a couple of block assists could end up being a triple dice block in his favour. As we see the team lined up here, ready to go into our first game of the evening.
All right, guys. So we've neglected Chaos a little bit, but they've really been coming back towards the tail end of the season. Lemon Blue, we'll have to leave that one to just figuring it out as we get into things. I may need to swap over our team values in a second as we check in. It looks like the Orcs are going to be winning the toss here, and it seems like the Chaos team are going to be the ones receiving.
Yes. I've forgotten kickoff setup order. Orcs are receiving.
Yes.
So yeah, well, you'll have the big old Chaos Warriors up front. Is that a new hire in the Minotaur?
I'm not sure entirely offhand. We'd have to go digging through our archives. Let's have a look at their SPP. They've got 0, so I think that's a reasonable shout, given that the Minotaur seems to be a pretty good one for smashing things through. I mean, we don't tend to see the Minotaurs brought out a whole lot, but both of our Chaos teams who are playing here today will be making use of that big old beast of burden.
Yeah, it's not part of the team sheet, so presumably it's free agent player as the kick goes. Oh, both teams lose a turn on the Riot. To be fair, the turn on Riot is kind of hard to tell who it favours because, again, it affects both teams. So, gives the Dead Ends one less turn to score, but then it also gives the Chosen Blood one less turn to score back. So, we'll see the initial blocks come out. They'll shove away from this Minotaur, try and bring him down on the first turn, and will actually succeed in doing so.
Oh, it's always risky.
And an injury.
The Minotaur is not that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's one turn in and the Apothecary already down. I'm not a big fan of putting the Minotaur on the front line because they've only got armor value 8. And as you saw there, their strength 5 was no real problem to get past on the line of scrimmage.
It's one of those things where you believe strength 5 is enough to hold their place on the line, but as soon as it goes down, again, only armor value 8 is not bad, but it is extremely risky, especially with someone so valuable as that. We're going to have the pile on here onto that is the Moogle, the strength 4, line Beastman.
Oh boy, the sure hands goes awry. So, okay, things have gone pretty well for the Orcs in the first turn. Failing to pick up the ball when a turn has already been burned is a little bit dicey, as we do see a block Chaos Warrior, that's Bosch, managing to smack through, and unlike our friends Nuggle Warriors, these Chaos Warriors, they've actually got a decent amount of movement 5 and Agility 3 alongside those powerful Strength 4 and AV9. They are beasts, and it looks like the Chosen of Blood are going to try and get deep into the Orc backfield immediately.
Absolutely, because of the way that Tinir was trying to take his turn, you could see he was trying to get the ball before advancing his right flank, which obviously means now this right flank can just completely pile through. Does attempt the dodge roll, which, I mean, at that point in your turn, it's fairly reasonable. You have nothing better to do. You leave your man down so he doesn't get immediately ganged up on by the Orcs. Yeah, I feel like they've done admirably for this first turn. Now this Orc is sort of like stuck in no man's land where he's surrounded by 3 Chaos players and with no real assistance now coming through. Oh,
excuse me. There we go. I mean, yes, as we said, the Chaos War is relatively flexible, as we will see a blitz. So it looks to be that Tinir is going to really try and focus on getting Guru, the piling on Mighty Blow Blitzer, as many blocks as possible, as often as possible, and this time they will be rewarded with a stun. And now
absolutely,
they can bring back their guys, so start setting up that cage.
Yeah, because the Chaos Warrior flank has managed to come through a bit, you sort of have to send men back to make sure you can maintain control of the ball as you bring it back up. They have the entire left side of the pitch to work with, so there shouldn't be any threat of losing the ball, at least until it makes it to the line of scrimmage. But it's a question of how do these Chaos Warriors get to it. And because of these Orcs being sent forward to try and get those pile on, they've sort of left themselves a small hole in which they could send a few Beastmen through.
Yeah, not too shabby at all. So Chaos in total control of the flanks right now. It looks like they're going to try and clean up and free up some of these players up here to move down towards. The Blitz is going to be able to shove away the Black Orc. I don't know that's going to be a shove. Witchcraft. And allow another avenue for the Beastmen to go chase down this ball carrier, who's not the fastest themselves. Only movement 5 means that this is a pretty scary looking Chaos Cage. Or Chaos Cage. I guess a Chaos team in the way of any potential team. Yeah. The Tides of Chaos.
No, it is good, though. He is the thrower. Does that go for it or a dodge?
That's go for it.
Okay. He's the thrower, so he can attempt to dump the ball up to someone who's in the middle of the pitch, because there are a great number of Orcs there who are unmarked by Chaos right now. They could just send them up a few spaces, make a little short pass, and try and just rush the ball upfield. The Orcs are outsped by the Chaos, but only by 1 or 2 squares depending on the players. They can absolutely outrace them if they catch them on the back foot like they might be able to do here.
Alright, there's a little bit of clobbering coming through, so it looks like the Orcs might be able to salvage this one, even though they're in a dicey position. Moving the ball right into the center, with Chaos players on each side.
No, they're going to cage it. Okay.
Yeah, they've managed to make it, despite everything. They may have Chaos on the left, Chaos on the right, but really nothing too much in front of them.
Absolutely. So one of the key things here is instead of opting for something like the block, which player is it? Gishki Antler. Sorry, no, not Gishki Antler. Kraz Fagors has access to Strip Ball, which is very good at dealing with these cages, because once you get on top of the ball carrier, you can just strip his ball. Suddenly it's on the floor, and there's a load of low energy players who are really unable to get their hands back on top of it. Not able to do so this turn, but because they managed to get directly on top of the ball carrier this turn, as well as stack up a lot of players around the cage, they should be able to maybe get out next turn if Tina isn't able to get the ball carrier out.
Alright, there's a both down result on the far right hand flank does leave things a little bit static over there, but Chaos having managed to bust through the cage and get contact with our ball carrier Gut Dar, who does have a few friends to call upon to free up some space. I still don't think the Chaos are probably going to make too much damage happen here. There's still tons of room to advance up and to the right.
It's just a question of can you get the ball carrier out, and with that block I would say they can.
Oh, out and with a stun as well. Not bad at all. That is going to be Mulmagor, the Strength 4 Beastman, knocked to the mat, and the Orcs are well away here. It looked like it was going to be so good for the Chaos team for a second, but a quick cage and a quick advance leaves very little left for the Chaos players to do.
Now again, the Chaos players are technically faster. They are all marked up currently, at least all the ones that are upright. But with a dodge roll or two, they could potentially make a blitz on the ball carrier, so some caution does need to be shown here by the dead ends, but they are bringing a few players up to cover some of the angles of approach that the Chaos team could take, and they should be fine for at least this turn.
Alright, what have we got going on here? We've got a blitz on to Grotrak. We'll be able to take them out, so that's a guard player, and the going for unfortunately does not go the way of White Game Wolf. From the University of Leicester, will be forced to burn through to reroll, now down to their final one, as we do get our good friend from before, Kraz, up from the sidelines with that sure hands in case the ball does go wild.
Yes, the problem is that was your blitz. The ball carrier is still upright. I don't necessarily know that you can get more players onto the ball. I think at this point it might be a touchdown now. It's just a question of, well, A, is it actually a touchdown? Because the block could fail to get the Beastman off the ball carrier. Oh, the second one there actually becomes a lot hard, but no, he's in base contact. They can get 2 blocks to get him off. If that goes through, it's a touchdown. It's just a question of how much damage can the Orcs or Chaos side do to the other.
Well, something we haven't even had a chance to mention yet is that first block does not go so well, so we know at least one Beastman will stay in contact. When we see a blitz, oh, it's going to be a stun. This suddenly got a whole lot easier.
They need to burn the blitz. The Orcs are not known for being agile. But they don't have any run who's really available to blitz, because, okay, no, there is... That's a Black Orc, they're going to have to move 4, never mind. Oh, wait, no, he's a lot closer than I thought he was.
3 dice block is also going to be a push to get Gutdar even closer towards the end zone. Yeah, so with only 2 more turns after this, there's no time to waste.
If he's just going to leg it straight up there, there's maybe a turn delay he can do, but with a little pressure from the Beastman, I think he's going to risk it. Tina's just probably going to take this touchdown. Oh, legendary double skulls. He's going to burn the reroll there. I'm honestly... It might not even be worth the reroll, because what else are you doing? You're moving a few players around, but you've already moved the important one up in that Beastman who's trying to contest the ball carrier. You have a few blocks here and there, but none of them are particularly amazing.
No, it looks like it's acknowledging there's no way to actually get to the ball carrier. Instead, going to go after and successfully make the first injury.
You know what? An injury makes that reroll worth it, yeah. Only badly hurt, but he's at least off the pitch for the rest of the game. So some good value gained there.
Yeah, that's a decent amount of TV stripped away from the team. I do need to update for the unexpected Minotaur, which is of course the deadliest, which will be coming back in next round. But Not a bad pickup at all. Does even up the numbers. It's looking like there's, it's got to be an Orc score coming through here, but
they might go for some blocks first. They have access to block. They have good stats across the board. I feel like these are safe blocks to make at this point. They can potentially get an injury, get a KO, get someone off the pitch, get this pile on. I'm very disappointed. And once you've exhausted all of your blocks, then you can just go, okay, I'm scoring the touchdown now.
Alright, so that's one of the beastmen out of the way, but we know that the thrower is well within range to go in and just walk this one in, and that's exactly what they will do. So, very well done. The Dead Ends manages to secure a pretty solid first touchdown in their drive. We will see the Chaos team now receiving, getting a chance to punch a little bit back, but short of another riot, it doesn't seem like they've got remotely enough time to score a touchdown of their own.
And this is what we like to call the punchy turns, in which the teams are fully aware that neither one can score, so they just go for punching. Given that Dead End scored and they will be second to the punching, I imagine what we'll see here is the old sacrificial lineup where they throw on three. That's going to be the two linemen they have and their thrower. They'll set the rest up in pretty close to proximity because they do actually have one turn to work with for the counter punch. And what I presume will happen in here is the Chosen Blood will set up the Minotaur. They'll throw in all of their strong boys with block, and they will just try and trade as best they can.
Yeah, I mean, no rerolls for White Game Wolf could make this a pretty swift second part of the first half. Of course, there's always a possibility of going for some passing SCP, those vanity passes. But right now, it's actually looking like this White Game Wolf is spreading out enough to suggest that maybe they're hoping for some kind of miracle here. It's a high kick, which means they only have 2 turns to score.
I mean, usually we consider these sort of like 2-turn touchdowns the elf high agility team specialty, right? But it can be done by some of these slower teams because they do still have movement 5, movement 6. That should be enough to get them most of the way down the pitch in 1 turn. And they have 2 turns. It's not like they're trying to do some kind of miracle drill here. The immediate knockdown on that line of scrimmage will buy them some space to work with. Now it's just a question of how to get the ball advanced forward if they're going to go for this, or are they just going to go for full punchy? I mean, to be fair, full punchy for the start of the turn makes the most sense. That's how you open up the space that you can make this sort of touchdown miracle play, but
that's part 1 of it, the miracle play done. And it's going to be advanced to only part way down the pitch. Don't think that was even the full movement used up there, but perhaps looking to pass across the other side and just get the chance to roll the dice.
That would be the only way they can score the touchdown at this point in time. I don't think the Chaos Warriors are far enough forward that they are in scoring range, even with the go for it's.
So there is a space which is reachable to hit that ball carrier, as we see the Orcs are trying to shut down any possibility of that miracle play, as unlikely as it would be. They're piling on Mighty Blow Orc. Gruru, who's going to be the bane, I suspect, of many a team, gets the first hit in, so that's going to be a stun. I imagine that they... Oh no, it's a KO!
No! The old delayed KO.
Oof.
Yeah, that's really good, actually. Because this was supposed to be Chosen of Blood's punchy turns, right? Where they concede the touchdown, but they could still get some swings back. But Dead Ends is coming up on top of this. This is actually really incredibly good for Tinnis.
Yeah, really real nice stuff. So, any thoughts of miracles? Surely, Dash, I think there's a good chance the Orc line of scrimmage players just stay on the map to avoid getting hit again for no real benefit. There's quite a spectacular going for it fail there, which will be re-rolled because, of course, what else are you going to spend those re-rolls on right now?
Honestly, I'm okay with leaving him on the floor because it means he can't get blitzed. You're in no danger of getting scored on here. Maybe you're scared of a foul, perhaps, as a player, but either way, you're going to see the blitz with the Minotaur. Just get the elbow. Oh, God, goes down hard. It's only a badly hurt though, but he's still out for the rest of the game. That was the guard Orc, I believe.
It was. So that is a decent amount of TV, knocked out of there. So down to 970 on the Orc side of things. And as much as the first half seems to be very well played by our chemical engineering student Tinir, they are starting to suffer a little bit. Losing out that guard in particular seems like that's going to be a major problem.
Yeah, 2 players missing for the rest of the game. The knocked out Chaos Beastman will remain knocked out for now. And to be fair, that is the plus strength one. That is the best on the side. So both sides missing some very key players for this second half. We'll see this sort of 5-star defense set up again for the Dead Ends. I guess it's 3-star given that they're lacking players, but...
Alright, well, they'll get made up for those missing players with an extra team reroll for this half as the kick goes.
Oh, that is actually... I mean, it's not perfect, but it's as close as you're going to get.
Yeah, very, very nice stuff there. At least we do have... Let's see, I believe that's our... No, our Sure Hands Beastman is a little far away.
Yeah, so it's going to be either fielded next turn or fielded by the player without Sure Hands, which is a risky gambit. As we see the French on the Minotaur pulling in work here as he does get the knockdown, but fortunately he's perhaps a little exposed for the counter here.
Yeah, we saw what happened before when the Minotaur was put in the line of fire. The Sure Hands, speaking as a Chaos coach myself in the past, it's never made sense to me how difficult it can be as a Chaos team to pick up the ball. Even when you've got Sure Hands, it still seems to go wrong at the darndest times.
And he did that as his fourth action of the turn after his blocks. So his sort of mid-line with some of his Chaos Warriors and his Beastmen hasn't advanced, hasn't done anything, hasn't put any pressure on this Orc side. So now he's going to be able to cleave through this Minotaur. They get the knockdown, they'll get the pile. And they'll get a stun, which is definitely value. It keeps that key player down for longer. And now they're able to just advance up to sort of field out the rest of the pitch. They don't have any access to any blocks yet, but they can sort of stop any form of advance the Kelso would like to put forwards.
I think very glad to have gotten a little bit of block on the Chaos Warriors. This time the ball is picked up like it's nothing. Of course, we know that's very much not the case. Kraz, who spent a lot of time knocked up over on the sideline before, is going to get a cage set up for them deep into their own territory. It looks to be the White Game Wolf is angling for a 1-1 game here.
I'm not convinced setting up the cage that far back is ideal, because right now what you've done is you've left a large portion of your team at a man disadvantage, just having the man advantage on the field. There's a very good chance the Orcs just wake up and then swing for the fences on the players that you've sort of left forwards here. And then when the cage does advance forwards to the line of scrimmage, they are once again outnumbered. It could go very wrong here for White Game Wolf, but to see how these blocks go, because that will determine everything.
Well, finally, that mighty blow piling on Groro won't get the chance to pile on anybody. So the fears of having the Chaos line obliterated, while well-founded, this time will be avoided. We're going to watch out as well for this Minotaur. Wild Animal means that unless they get to be using, unless they're allowed to use the Blitz next turn, there's a good chance they'll just remain on the floor.
Absolutely. Oh, armor breaking.
Oh!
I was talking about death at the start of the stream. Antler is gone.
All right. All kinds of dead. So that's good. And that's a wrestle player as well. That's not just a standard beast.
You hate to see it. That's one of the good players. That's one of the few players with actual blocking skills on the team. Wrestle equivalent to block, good into it, definitely. That's definitely one of the better players in terms of dealing with these brawly teams like Orcs. To lose him, especially this late in the season, is absolutely disastrous for the Chosen of Blood.
Yeah, remember, guys, these teams are trying to fight to get into the playoffs, and of course, they'll be keeping that same team to make their playoff run. So, you're right, even if White Game Wolf does make it through here by getting at the... Oh, that's not going to help. Getting the skull there. If they don't have a team that's viable to play with, their playoff stint may be very short indeed.
Absolutely. Oh, they'll just drop the fireball from the wizard. 1, 2, 3. Has hit the deck.
Okay, so the good news is there was no armor breaks there at all.
That's actually incredible.
Like, considering those are all done with Mighty Blow, that is pretty nuts. As the wild animal will mean that we're not going to be seeing too much from Kongash, but the ball will be not picked up.
Immediately dropped because you have no agility. Sure hands does not matter. It is not a skill. You cannot prove me otherwise.
Oh boy, you would not think that these beasts have got agility 3, but...
no, they're making you very aware. I don't know, I'm not... Let's just stack up the body count. There's another injury. Pythagoras goes down and he's got his ankle smashed to pieces.
You hate to see it. Oh, cool, you got that one. Great.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's going to be a further depletion of the Chaos roster. You called it right before it happened. The Chaos team, in the time it's taken to get up the pitch, they have been hemorrhaging players. Apparently, the Chosen of Blood, the only blood that's being chosen is their own.
Hey. So the ball is in a reasonable position for them. They've got a few players around it currently. They can get the blitz with this Urgoth to eat cranium, potentially try and knock it loose here. Oh, that is some... Praise be to Novel, smiling down upon these orcs.
Now we see what a truly good diet can do for you. Eat cranium with all the skulls as the double skulls come in. Kongash does manage to successfully reroll and get the hit in there. It's only going to be a stun coming through the Minotaur. Has really the main contribution this Minotaur has made to this game is to soak up the Apothecary on the very first turn. And apart from that, not too much else.
He's got a few armor breaks, but nothing lasting.
Oh, actually, I take that back. I think he actually did get an injury.
Never mind, I take... Yeah, he's got an injury.
I baited you there.
Yeah.
Ooh,
well, get the into the ball carrier. He's going to go towards the edge of the pitch. This ball could go anywhere, and it's going to go somewhere right into the field.
You hate to see it, and you're going to have to make quite a hoofing back to it in every respect. As at least the two managed to pick it up. So the Chaos team, as much as they've kind of had the match restarted by having their numbers depleted on the way in, and now going to have to restart their run up the pitch as well. With only 3 turns left to make the touchdown, we're almost back to the end of the first half again.
Oh, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So we're going to have a few blitz on a few of these Chaos players who have been sort of left behind as this sort of contingent has gone back to try and get the ball. Oh, wait a second. They're just crowd surfing this player. He's going to get punched in the face by the crowd.
Oh no, Bosch! KO'd! Oh boy. This is tough times. Of course, your high armor value players, the crowd don't care about that. They will merely roll some injuries for them. Fortunately, well, I say it's kind of unfortunate, really. The KO this late in the game is almost as good as getting them taken off the pitch entirely. But wait a second, is Mino Bro coming through and gets a second injury. Perhaps they heard what I was saying about them before and wants to prove me wrong.
Yep, that's gonna. Well, it's not gonna be any permanent damage, which is good for dead ends, but it's certainly a player off pitch for now. Brett is a bit further down the field, so there's a chance that the ball just gets gummed up here or knocked loose, and Chosen Blood aren't able to tie this game up. Both these teams are very much in the hunt for playoffs right now, as we said at the start. If Chosen Blood lose here, I do believe that their playoff dreams are basically over. As we see that packet down means that ball carrier is now very much exposed to the elements. Some very green elements with big swingy fists.
Oh boy. I mean, that one dice block with block from the Chaos Warrior who was the corner of the cage. I could definitely see the reasoning there. I mean, there's a very good chance if you don't do that, then you're just going to get knocked over in return. And your chances of just getting a pushback are pretty good, but that's now opened the door for probably the MVP of the Orc team to go in, makes the reroll, gets the both down. That's gonna be Krasvigor's taken out, yet another injury, and it's minus agility to your ball picking up player. Oh, Nuffle is cruel indeed.
Oh, broken neck on the ball carrier. The ball does end up back in the hands of one of the Chaos Warriors, which is a good place for it, but unfortunately it's not going to deal with tide of orcs that are going to quick collapse around him. This game has gone so wildly for Chosen Blood. It all seems to be going horrendously wrong at every single point.
kind of hard to keep up with that depleting team value, down to 700 now for the Chosen of Blood, and while this Minotaur is actually pulling its weight.
He's getting a lot of armor breaks.
I mean, that's what Mighty Blow does for you. And a Blitz. Okay. So the ball is still on Bink, the Chaos Warrior. Unfortunately, the dice are not... Okay, no, the dice maybe are getting a little bit better now.
No,
So
I mean, yeah, but he's not advancing. They only have 1 turn left. I don't know if they actually have anyone in scoring position right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, a trade about armor breaks, but one's definitely come off once. That's a pinch nerve. That's a miss next game. And hey, guess what? Our next game is a tension match. What was that, ET?
Oh boy. So I think we've actually got that. Wow, there's so many members of each team taken out by the end of this game. I think we've actually got down to nearly the same team value as each other, just from sheer attrition.
By my count, it's 6-5 on the pitch right now. Not that it matters, because there's only 2 turns left for the Orcs and 1 turn left for the Chaos. Granted, the Orcs do control the ball. Going to their turn 16, there's a good chance they do actually get the 2-0 if they get a decent run and a deep pass.
Oh!
Yeah. Oh?
So, sorry, I think I just figured out something. So for quite a while, I was trying to figure out what was going on with the... Because, you know, coming into this one, we believed the teams were roughly similar team value. And I think what may have happened is we see another piling on attempt. This time doesn't do any further. I think maybe... Did White Game Wolf must have bought the Minotaur at the last minute, and that's what's allowed for that Wizard to come in as... Jeez, that's 2 injuries, 2 KOs for this Minotaur. I think that's a pretty solid new hire.
Oh, absolutely. If he is a hire, then he's definitely pulling his weight, maybe aside from eating the Apothecary, but... Like, he's getting a lot of armor breaks and value of keeping players down, but unfortunately it's not managed to translate in field presence and, more importantly, touchdowns for this Chosen Blood side. They have got the ball loose. They've got a few players around it, though. It's going to be a miracle blitz attempt here from Ukrainian to try and get the ball open so they can make a passing play to get the touchdown. I believe that's what they're going for here. They'll get the ball. They'll run it forwards. They'll fail on the pass. They'll have a reroll.
Second time's a charm.
Oh,
It's good!
That's a touchdown!
I mean, that's the thing.
Oh.
It's 2-0 for the Dead Ends, one of our 3 Orc teams in our competition. As you mentioned, this is definitely a playoffs influencing match. Dead Ends, they make a very solid case themselves to be one of those top 8 teams.
And you want to know the best thing about that? You want to know which player was 1 point off leveling up coming into that game?
Who was it?
The guy who just scored the touchdown.
Ah, well, that's going to be another blitzer. The Orc team is, of course, known for their exceptional blitzers. The MVP going to Azag, who is missing next game, I believe.
I believe, no. Oh, yeah, that's ET. There's 2 Azags on the Dead Ends.
Oh, how confusing. Maybe they're brothers.
Oh, no, they have different surnames.
I mean, I don't understand the Orc society, man.
But yes, that is unfortunately the one who's missing next game. Granted, he does have the level up based on that MVP, so he'll at least be able to go into playoffs with perhaps a block on himself. That would go quite a way to making him a very formidable frontliner. See the SPP here. Both teams coming out pretty okay, but the Dead End's definitely coming out on top, especially considering none of their players died. None of their players had their ankle smashed or their neck broken.
Yeah, this is tough times for Chosen of Blood. They said it's incredibly competitive at this point in the competition, so I think the Chosen of Blood, it looked like they had every chance of tying it up with a draw and at least staying in contention, but losing there means that any of the teams who accrue a 3rd win this week will leap ahead of them. But
yes. They are at 2-2-2 now, and I don't necessarily know that there are going to be enough teams that do worse than them for them to actually remain in contention at this point.
Alright, so we have got 2 more games for you guys this evening. Kirby, what is our second match of the evening coming up?
Well, we've had the old Brawly Fest, so naturally we're now transition into the high agility, high nonsense level of players. We see the High Elf team coached by Minquin, the Thunder Strikers, against the Skaven team coached by Conjurer, the probably infamous at this point Jorvik Jets.
Yes, we have made no secret of our massive bias towards the underdogist of under-rats. The Jorvik Jets starting off the season pretty disappointingly, but making themselves known to us by a surprising win in earlier weeks, and have since then been on a bit of a streak. They are almost into the top 8 themselves. If they win this next coming game, there's a very good chance you see them in your playoffs.
Absolutely. But all that will have to come after the break, unfortunately. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello friends and welcome back. It's time for round 2 of week number 6 of the NUEL Blood Bowl competition unofficial broadcast because it's too hot for the regular stream. Who have we got coming up for our second game for any of our players, any of our viewers who've come to join us just now? Kirby.
Well, Mr. Counterfeit, we have the Thunder Strikers, the high team coached by Mina Quinn, the high agility, high movement, high nonsense team, against the Skaven team coached by Conjurer, the Jorvik Jets, another high agility, high nonsense, high touchdown scoring team. It is going to be probably an extremely high touchdown, extremely high nonsense. Going to be passing, there's going to be running, there's going to be people being punched in the face because this is still Blood Bowl at the end of the day. Let's be real, that's what we're all here for, and it is going to be one hell of a game.
So if we take a quick look through at the rosters here we go. So as you can see, the High Elven team, they've managed to supplement their decent starting skills with some extra dodge on their 2-star blitzers. Extremely hard to put down, as well as getting one of their linemen a block as well.
Yes, the Elves are sort of more stronger statted units in the game where they have the good agility values, they have okay armor value and movement value. But when you start building up a few of the skills on, they really start to shine, where you are actually able to take some blocks and are able to use that agility to move the ball around. And obviously, they may not be as advanced as they'd like to be, but they're certainly looking a little better as the season progresses onwards. On the other side, though, we have the Jets, who have been phenomenal players across the season, thanks in part due to their built-in abilities that dodge on their gutter runners, the block on the storm vermin. We've been able to pick themselves a few levels on those key gutter runners who have been essentially not carrying the team to victory, but certainly enabling their victories, I think it's fair to say. Playing Master, that star player with 3 levels, has access to block and sidestep, as well as that innate dodge. Also, strip ball on Sven Verminfurs should be very useful at getting the ball out of the hands of these elves. Shout out to my boy Torsten Gunman, the one-turn touchdown hero of one of the Jorvik Jets games. Unfortunately, no levels on him, but he's definitely looking to be a bigger player as the game progresses onwards.
Yes, I do believe actually I may have shortchanged the Jets a little bit. Oh no, actually I take it back. So yeah, so coming into week 6, they are only up at 1050 TV, which is only 50 more than they started with. But that team value is very heavily concentrated in those gutter runners.
It's one of these things where if your team value is well concentrated, it's not sort of like you don't have random players with random skills, you have a very specific skill set you're working towards. That low team value can actually work in your favor because you get benefits for having low team value in the form of inducements. If you can get away with having some, okay, technically weaker players, your linemen don't have any skills, your vermin don't have any skills, you can get those advantages elsewhere in the pitch.
Alright, so it looks to be that our good friends, the Thunder Strikers, will be receiving... will be kicking in the first half, and the Jorvik Jets will be receiving. Note that we have got that mighty blow there for Bjorn Irontail II, and you noted before that Wrestle and Dauntless Gutter Mange Gutter Runner.
Yeah, he's going to be an absolute sight to behold if he gets a hold ball. Because remember, movement 9, agility 4, with dodge, if you're able to... If you don't put up too many tackle zones, you only put up a few, there's a good chance he will just run through your entire back line, your entire front line, your entire side line. He will not care. He'll take the ball wherever he so desires. It will usually end up being in your end zone.
Alright, nothing too crazy on that kickoff result. A very short kick means that this game may have a little bit of trouble in setting up their initial cage.
I don't think they even bother with the cage at this point. It's one-turn touchdown I don't think we're going to see, but we're definitely going to see some very quick play coming out as we see that initial KO has blown this line of scrimmage wide open, especially.
Rosie getting taken down. That's the mighty... No, I take it back, actually. That wasn't even the mighty blow player. Now that mighty blow player, Bjorn, comes in, gets a knockdown of their own, and really advancing the cause of the Skaven Under Empire is the furry little creeps themselves.
I was saying armor evaluate was okay. Apparently I was wrong. That's 2 blocks and 2 armor breaks given straight away. So the point where we're now seeing these storm vermin storm deep in towards the Elven territory. They'll play out the rest of the line with a few extra blocks, try and get some more breaks. Fortunately for the Thunder Strikers, none will come immediately. He says, "No, okay, I'm going to shut up now."
Oh boy. I mean, speaking as someone who has played a fair few AV8 teams as well, it seems like one of those things that, you know, you can go for a long time without your armor really breaking and think, AV8, that's an okay stat, and then suddenly it all comes crashing down when your team gets cut to pieces by an opposing team who have any kind of kill skills at all.
Absolutely. Well, to be fair, these rest of Skaven that were doing the blocks didn't have any block skills at all. They were just basic line rats. Either way, we'll see some of these elves come forward to try and contest the ball carrier here. I believe that's Hakon Quickfoot with the ball.
Let's take a look. It is.
We'll see a few of these line rats eat the dirt, perhaps a little more longer than they'd like. That's going to be a stun. They'll try and stop this Skaven advance. I wouldn't hesitate to say this is going to last too long because I feel like the Storm Vermin are just going to push forwards, deal with the immediate line of elves, and then the gutter runners are going to run the gutters.
Yeah, right now, it's looking like we've got a Skaven team that are trying to sort of break through these encircling elves. Of course, the big highlight players have always got to be the younger brothers, who I'm pretty sure are brothers this time around, apart from that Orc confusion before. Those two blitzers with block and dodge. I mean, there's no tackle on this Skaven team, so any hit on those blitzers is most likely just going to do nothing at all.
Absolutely, but because of the high movement value of the Jorvik Jets, they can basically pick and choose the fights as they see fit, and they don't necessarily even need to play into the young brothers. They can just punch the rest of the elf sides around them.
And as we see one of those sneaky gutter runners, it's going to be, who is it? It's Verminfur, Sven Verminfur, with, I believe, the strip ball. So there's no sure hands on the high elven side of things. So if that strip ball does come into play, that's going to be a guaranteed drop and a chance for the gutter runners to swoop in and grab hold of the ball.
Absolutely. That's if the elves get hold of the ball in the first place, which, I mean, granted, because they got the knockout on Sly Scratch, there's maybe a chance they can get on top of the ball, Khemri, and slow him down now, but...
Oof, it's a pretty big ask when you're talking about a gutter runner with agility 4 and dodge, though. This is...
Go on.
Well, I was going to say, this is the unfortunate thing that separates out a team like the High Elves from something like the Wood Elves, where they've got, a player like the War Dancer who can really get in and do very silly things. The High Elves, not the best at dealing with this kind of situation here.
Absolutely. So yeah, they'll move the throw around just to make some space for the gutter runner, because I do believe they might just go around the back and try and advance from this left flank. They'll get Jack, the back lineman, down on the ground. And actually, if they are able to get the ball to that other gutter runner, that could just be a touchdown.
We know we should never put it past Conjurer, but that handoff goes awry. There's a reroll, of course, and the ball ends up safe and sound.
He's not just a line rat. It doesn't matter, though. He still has movement to get there, and it was going to be a very quick touchdown there for Jorvik Jets. 1-0 to them so far, and looking very good going forwards.
Alright, we're wasting no time at all. Does mean at least that the Thunder Strikers, who we saw playing in the very first game of the season, a friendly against the West Street Wild, which the Thunder Strikers won pretty convincingly. They now have to deal with, well, I'd say the KOs on both sides, but both teams with relatively deep rosters shouldn't be feeling that too badly coming into the second part of the first half.
Yeah, they're still able to field quick maths. Yeah, that's a full team on the side of the Jets. Which player is that who's knocked out?
So we've got, let's see, so that's...
Slice Scratch, yes.
So Ivar's knocked out on one side and Rosie on the other.
Yeah.
But I think both the teams came into this with a spare player.
Yeah. No. I think the inducements I was talking about earlier, where the Jets get extra money, I think they have used that to bring an extra player into the team, as it's going to be a very quick start offense here for the Thunder Strikers. They're able to actually move the player underneath the ball. They might just choose to let it land, though, and it looks like they're going to do that.
I think that maybe they're hoping for a touchback here if the ball does go to any of these spaces. Hey Shinsuke, welcome to the stream. And it's not a touchback, it's on to the very edge of the pitch. I mean, if Mini Queen has picked up anything from Conadura, it's get those scores in thick and fast. It's what we hope from our agility teams, who are based all around getting those scores in.
I know what we're going to do is we're going to run away and hand the ball off to our thrower.
Who's also going to run away? Okay.
There's going to be a strat here. I need to see how the rest of the game plays out before I figure out what it is, and I believe that is journeyman lineman who got knocked out on the side of the Thunder Strikers.
So I think the reasoning here is the Conadura has revealed how quickly that they will score given the opportunity, and I think it must presumably be that Mini Queen's going to try and draw out the rest of this half to stop that from just happening again as soon as they score.
I suppose. It just seems wrong, you have these high agility teams and they're running the ball directly away from the enemy.
Well, I
see your logic, it just feels wrong.
We're in an awkward position here for these teams because they are trying desperately to get into playoffs. The time of try and score as many goals as possible and forget about the result may have passed if it ever really was a thing. As we have one of our young brothers being aggressed onto here. Malcolm Young only pushed, but will be pinned to the side of the pitch in a bit of a dicey position.
They're able to get a few players down off that line of scrimmage as well. So currently, Skaven with the field position, but the ball so far back it shouldn't actually matter. They are going to bring the ball forward this time.
Oh, it's a pass, and it's good. Going to end up in the hands of Cliff Williams, that block lineman, who is pretty capable of taking care of themselves.
Well, they might just cage up around him. Actually, no, they're gonna full shenanigans this. They're gonna go for the handoff to the
What?
The young brothers who's on the side of the pitch. That's not a blitz.
What?
That's what you've done there is you've left the ball adjacent to a player next to the edge of the pitch.
Alright, Shinsuke, you may never have seen Blood Bowl before, but what you'll see next turn is a pointy-eared Malcolm Young, star of the Thunderstrikers, shoved into the crowd, where they will do with them as they wish, which will probably just be punch them in the face a bunch, and sometimes even worse.
I genuinely think he just forgot to activate his blitz.
That is quite possible. Alright, so it's one dice block to knock him off the pitch. Looks like they're going to go for some of the slightly safer ones first. There's still the reroll left for the Jorvik Jets, as they'd love to get hold of the ball once again. They haven't got anyone to come in and assist up here, so I think... Okay. Oh, I think that's how you do it. Yes, so you free up the thrower here, who then can come across and make this into a 2-die block to push Malcolm off the pitch and get the ball back into who the heck knows where.
They're going to just have the ball in the middle of their own pitch, I think, just on an average field positioning.
Oh!
Malcolm Young knocked out by the crowd. You'd hate to see it. See where the ball goes from here.
Alright, so Malcolm Young is KO'd. That means you've got a 50% chance of coming back as the ball gets thrown. Oh, into a bit of an awkward position there. Maybe the Elves could still take advantage of this.
What's the move on a blitz? Is that even... that's a lineman, it's move 6. And never mind, there's well more than enough Skaven to make sure the ball is at least picked up and safely out of Elven hands, at least for the short term. And now there's a good number of turns here where the Jets can just run it straight back up the pitch. We've seen how quickly they can move, and they have longer to do so than they needed before. They can definitely bring this to a 2-0 scoreline going into the half.
Yeah, there's a pretty big disaster. Oh, I think you're right that they maybe just a slight mechanical mistake on the part of Milliken cost them their players, because that would have been a pretty easy score. As whoa!
Elf nonsense at its finest.
It's a reroll. It's not a knockdown on that ball carrier though, so that gutter runner will be able to get away pretty much scot-free.
Still in tackle zones, but those tackle zones can be pried open quite easily. I see the blitz here, and with the player knockback, that should be enough if he goes down a push. Actually, with the push and the second block coming out from the assisting line rats, that should be enough to get the ball carrier loose.
We've got a wrestle gutter runner who can also do the job here. Dauntless. Oh, aye, aye, aye. Alright. Almost went disastrously, but not quite. And that does mean that Hakon Quickfoot will have to live up to the name, moving the ball up. The reroll has already been burnt, which means the Jorvik Jets need to be careful not to accidentally give the ball away now.
Well, yes, but for now they've not doing anything too risky. They're caging around the ball carrier. They've left a few rats to deal with line of scrimmage, but they have the majority of them around the ball, which is relatively safe. And they're also not even taking the blocks, they're just moving the players around, trying to get them in scoring position, which is a very wise thing to do at this point in time, considering one gap is going to lead directly to a pass, which is going to lead directly to a handoff, which is going to lead to a touchdown. The dodge goes awry, though, and that is going to be one rat left lying on the floor. The Zels now able to at least advance to try and slow this, what feels like an inevitable play here from the Jorvik Jet.
Alright, so this is a very tough player, Plague Master, to put down. Even if you try and blitz them with the sidestep skill, there's a very good chance they'll end up in a position that's actually more advantageous than when you first started.
Absolutely. It's incredibly useful, especially when you already have Lodge. It makes just going into him extremely risky. You need that defender down. And that's only one side of the dice.
That is a defender down up there, though. So, unfortunately for the Elves, these elven dodges, We've seen the power of not giving monkeys.
It's elves, right? You expect this kind of playmaking to happen, as we do see another elf being fed directly to the walls of the crowd. Only going to be out for the drive. No injuries sustained, but it's going to be another player removed from this game in advance, as we do see the dodge coming out here. Is that Bjorn Ninetail? No, that's Quickfoot, yes.
Yeah. I think
Bjorn caged around him.
Bjorn did the whole pushing it off the pitch thing. It's a little sad for them that they didn't actually get the chance to use their mighty blow because of that. But at least it does mean another player down.
Yes, that's the key result you get from doing that. And again, they'll also bring the ball up. They'll try and have this gutter runner dodge around for his life, trying to find that opening that you need to score that amazing touchdown. They're going to have one turn left after this, but they do still have at least one player in scoring position from here, and that might actually be a second go for it.
There's no rerolls, so there's still always a possible.
There's no rerolls, but Thunderstriker's going to have to immediately burn one on the dodge, and it doesn't even matter because your ankles are just shattered into tiny little pieces, like strewn out on the floor at the foot of the Jorvik Jets, who now have free reign over your entire pitch. Here comes the blitz, trying to make some space. This could actually be a touchdown.
No rerolls, though! That means...
Shut up.
That was the 1 in 36 chance of going awry. I guess what goes around comes around. The Skaven, having now burnt through the turns they had allocated, are going to be seeing an extra
scoring position. This could go horrifically wrong.
Oh, that's a knockdown onto Quickfoot.
Right,
it's not an injury.
Doesn't matter. This is last turn anyway. Where does the ball go? Doesn't get picked up. Oh, where is it? Do they have a player that can grab it? They don't have a blitz.
They don't have a turn?
Yeah, they need to do it with this turn. Okay, not with that block. If they have a player that can get to the ball right now, they can throw it to the lineman in the top right. If he makes his dodge to pick it up in the first place.
That was a possibility. I mean, we're seeing a lot of pretty risky elf dodgy business going on here, so we'll have to recalibrate where we are with the team values once we come back in again. The Skaven team remarkably surviving pretty well. That's 2 KOs returning. So I believe we're just down to 1 on each side of the pitch.
Absolutely. We'll have I believe, basically a full lineup on both sides coming into this. Yep, Slice Scratch is still knocked out.
And who's the...
And unfortunately, I believe that is Malcolm
Young.
Young still out on the floor. And again, that's one of the better players for this elf side who has access to block and dodge, making him a very real threat when it just comes to trying dealing with the Skaven. But unfortunately for him, he's still taking a dirt net. So he's going to have to... I was going to say sit and watch, like he's capable of watching right now.
I mean, I feel like you can hear the sound of the crowd, you can hear the verminous chittering of the Skaven, you can hear the flies buzzing around their mangy corpses as, oh my gosh, it's going to be a bribe coming in, referee, what you doing? We have to know that High Elves, of course, would be much too honourable to make use of that, but the Skaven team, very much a different story.
Yeah, so with that extra bribe that you can foul more freely, because if you do get the send-off result on the foul, you can just ignore it with that bribe. And obviously with that touchback, Thunderstriker is able to give the ball to, I believe that would be Brian Johnson fielding that thrower. Yep. Who actually have a level up off this game, so good for him. Immediately we see the Elves trying to fill the backfield, trying to give themselves any option later on in the game for a passing target. As once again we see Brian Johnson take that turn back, and we're going to see that attempt again where they have that play of pass into handoff into rush into touchdown, and hopefully don't forget to activate your blitz this time.
Yes. I mean, when it comes to these high-pressure playoff stakes implications, it's very, very easy to make that slight mistake. It's, oh boy, the first hit goes awry, the second hit is much, much better, but that does mean that there's no reroll left for the rest of the turn. Both two of the 4 gutter runners marked up by high elven players. For Conadura, do they chase the ball or try and stop these elves from hanging around in their backfield?
You can definitely commit a few players dealing with the elves, but you have a lot of movement on the gutter runners. You can absolutely try and shut him out. You have a lot of good skills on the gutter runners as well, especially the wrestle and the dauntless, the block and the shuffle, which are all currently rushing towards Brian Johnson.
I don't know though. This feels like that Conjurer might be falling for the trap here. We are talking about the best thrower in the entire game of Blood Bowl. The safe throw for Brian Johnson will mean that he can pretty much throw it over the gutter runners, even, and still have a pretty good chance of making that throw.
Awkward line blocking here for Conjurer. I know he said using that to send one of his line rats back. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, freeing a player. I thought he was going to try and get multiple attacks on the line of scrimmage, but if you just want to free a player, that is completely fine as well. All right, we're going to see it. Brian Johnson's going to step forward. Where is he going to throw it to? That is brave.
Well, the safe throw. I don't think it was even needed in the end. No, the pass was good. The going for it was good. The Elves have scored. And this is what you expect to see, the passing play into the score. Look at that arrogance on that Elven face, but it's well earned.
That's the look of a man who caught a pass that went at least 10 spaces, you know? That was absolutely ridiculous.
For High Elves, that's practically just breakfast.
Both players still remaining knocked out going into... I was going to say the second half, but we're in the second half. This is going to be the second drive of the second half, with the Thunderstrikers kicking back to the Jorvik Jets. Currently 1-1 the scoreline, as we see how the Skaven will respond after such nonsense has befallen them.
Yes, a little taste of their own medicine. I mean, that's the thing, we've got the combinations, as you mentioned before, of teams with very high scoring potential, while at the same time acknowledging that the win here is the thing that really, really matters. You could score 1,000 goals, but not win the game and still end up getting knocked out of playoffs and having it not even matter at all anymore.
I would like to point out, if you score 1,000 goals in a game of Blood Bowl and you still manage to lose, what are you doing? How are you doing?
I mean, scoring one less goal than you need to. I'm outraged. I think with a perpetual cycle of riots, I think you can keep it going enough one-time touchdowns.
It's technically possible. Doesn't mean it should be done by anyone, as Thunderstrikers... I mean, they're just getting more rerolls to attempt more nonsense. That's what's happening here. The ball lands in okay, it's not the best position, but it should be immediately scooped up by... no, they're not going to take it quite yet. Aki Rathbones is going to let it sit there for at least the immediate time being, as we're going to see some blitz on some Elves.
Alright, it's Mighty Blow meets Cliff Williams. We'll get shoved to the side of the pitch, but no injury taken. That's Bjorn Irontail, along with their counterpart Harold Blackwhisker, the Storm Vermin, the real beef, such as it is, of the Skaven team, and that will be a second knockdown. Both of them with block, both of them pretty reliable, and some space opened up for the Skaven team if you want to try and make a run through into the backfield.
Absolutely. You saw what the Elves did last time, and I feel like the Skaven are going to do the same. Instead of trying to pass the ball, they're probably going to try and rush it down, where they bring it a lot closer, they go for the handoffs and use that MA9 to their advantage instead. But the game plan is still wildly similar. Fiddle the enemy deep territory with as many players as possible, give yourself as many options as possible for handoffs, and play through your high agility.
So it's the Skaven going to send back a safety gutter runner just in case of shenanigans. Well, apparently...
shenanigans?
The kind of bad kind of shenanigans, though, means the Jorvik Jets are down to a single reroll, while Miniquin and the Thunderstrikers, they've got 5 to play with, almost too many to even make use of in the time remaining.
They have 6 turns. They have a reroll almost every turn at this point. That's actually incredible. They'll send a few Elves forward, try and at least force the play from the Jets, stand their men back up, try and brawl a little bit. And I don't know how there's too much they can do this turn.
Oh, going to be going after Bjorn Irontail. That's a risky proposition, but do manage to get the knockdown, so that's a big hit, and that's a big hitter for the Skaven team, taking out a commission for at least a couple of turns. Absolutely.
They're able to... Actually, with that player down, that's most of the skill advantage. I say most of the skill advantage. That's definitely one of the more skill advantaged mats that Skaven have to offer, so they... Elves could actually win a punching match at this point if they desire. Not that I imagine the Skaven are going to give them one. They see the blitz here, trying to deal with some of these Elves that are invading.
Pesky Elves, they get everywhere.
Hey. Now we bring the ball forwards. This is going to be an amazingly fast play from the Skaven. They have a few turns to work with. They can definitely afford to slow this game down, and we'll actually go for the cage option.
They've also got the chance to push Cliff Williams off the pitch, and they'll take that.
Cliff Williams is gone.
all kinds of gonzo, and KO'd as well. Gnarly stuff.
Apparently he's KOP.
Oh no.
So yeah, that's now a lot of space on that very far left flank open. Not that the scheming needs it immediately. They're still sticking up to this cage and trying to force the elves out of position, try and get the blocks onto this cage. And then when they step forward, that's when we start seeing the true Skaven shenanigans.
I do have a good knock over there, so that's a decent start to things. But yes, the very temporary edifice constructed, the Skaven cage. We'll have to see now what Mini Queen's got, because even with all these rerolls, they're still going to, I think, struggle to break through the cage.
Yeah, rerolls don't matter if you're not able to roll dice in the first place. They've been given no natural blocks, and they have to burn the blitz. And they're using it on their lone alignment. No, sorry, that's not their lone alignment, it's just a regular lineman. They were able to break away at the corner slightly, but with that knockback. But they've still not got the ball carrier. All the Skaven is still upright right now. They've not really managed to achieve much this turn.
Yeah, it's a shame that reroll wasn't used there for Mini Queen, because they're not going to get a chance to use that many more rerolls during the rest of the half. Clearing up the space is going to be Black Whisker, the other Storm Vermin, so the ball carrier remains safe for the time being. A block from Hakon Quickfoot clears some more space, but it's still not a clear line for the Jorvik Jets to get through and try and score that game-winning touchdown.
Absolutely. They're going to look to play this extremely safely and by the numbers here. They're going to bring all of their rats back, try and force the elves to commit to doing something foolish, shall we say. They'll get the 2 dice block here, only going to be a shove. But it's going to be another elf that can't block next turn. You said about all these rerolls not going to have a chance to use them. They're giving them maybe 2 blocks this turn, 3 blocks this turn, and none of them are on the ball carrier. None of them are on any players near the ball carrier. You get this stand-up, sure, but it's not going to do any good. The blitz is going to be completely ineffectual at actually getting the ball loose.
We are seeing... Oh, hello. Jock Harvard, one of the line rats, getting a minus armor value, so I guess they're not going to win the team much longer, but there's the reroll going to be burned through. So
I'll be real, I think that Jock Harvard was in fact a journeyman line rat, so not that it actually matters for the progression of the Jets.
Ah. Poor old ratty rat friends. And speaking of, Bjorn Irontail II with armor value 8 will get clobbered, not taken out in any serious fashion, so the Skaven are getting a little bit pushed back in the centre and along the left-hand flank as well. You can see here, though, that the High Elves are still struggling to make real inroads in, especially if they're going to get clobbered by gutter runners.
Absolutely. So, Philrod goes down. I'm just trying to see how they score from here, right? Because it's fair enough you like drawing out the game, baiting these elves in, getting them down. You do actually need to score at some point. So they're going to try and push a few players up the pitch now. Now they've sort of committed a bit too far forwards. There's a good chunk of space in the Thunderstrikers midfield to play with, past the line of scrimmage, and yeah, they've got enough space to set up a cage here, or reset up the cage. I guess I should say. So now the ball carrier is safe, but he's also in scoring range. You now have to deal with this, and you're left in the same situation where you have no blocks. You have to use the blitz, and you'll have to get it into 2-3 enemy rats just to get on the ball carrier. It's really well played here by Connor Durham, spacing himself out perfectly, forcing these elves to a situation where they might have all these rerolls, but they can't use them effectively.
Yeah, it's really, really looking good for Connor Durham here. As, a failed dodge, of course.
The glory of the cage. Yeah, you have to get the ball carrier. You need to get in on 2, 3, 4 tackles. Dodge can only get you so far. Brian Johnson is injured.
Oh boy, that was a 1 on the reroll. That's going to be the Apothecary Burn. That is a leveled up thrower. So, no surprise at all to see that one held onto. The Rats, though, nothing's stopping them from just running the ball in and scoring. Assuming they
won't. They'll delay. You saw what happened in the first drive of this half where the Elves got a pure nonsense touchdown. They have a few turns to work with here. They have the move advantage. They can just recade down to the bottom right of the pitch. They can delay for a turn, maybe 2, and make sure the Elves have no chance of scoring.
It's a rare occasion when you get to a point where the Skaven are able to stall up on the line of scrimmages. Bjorn Irontail II won't make an effective block that time round. Do bear in mind, and I don't know if our players have really taken account of this, that both teams have a bribe to work with, so any down players should be pretty much fair game for getting stomped on repeatedly. Especially considering these are teams that could conceivably meet again in the playoffs.
I don't know what they do, actually. Both of them are in top 8 currently. I feel like if with one of them winning and one of them losing, I don't know that both of them can make playoffs at this point. Either way, we'll see both down result taken. This can actually work out for the Jets as TNT ends up stunned. He is one of the players that potentially make a miracle blitz the ball carrier, but now it's just a question of how much damage can the Thunder Strikers do. Wait. They need to rush the ball carrier. They need to, because they need to force the touchdown to happen this turn. They'll get the foul, sure. Right, okay, that's going to be the bribe. But they need to rush him, because otherwise, if they don't rush him, Conjurer can pass next turn, and then he scores on his turn 16, and so Miniquin does not have a turn 16 back to work with, so they need to force him to score on this next turn.
Alright, there's the blitz coming in from Alona. Will at least shove Black Whisker out of the way and opens up a path for these two extra linemen, as you said, trying to put that pressure down. The going for it goes south, though, and with no reroll left from that big pile of rerolls, having burnt through one earlier, Conadura feeling pretty great about their chances.
They might actually just be able to block off this lineman from the ball carrier, actually.
You're going to cage up around them.
Yeah! Unironically, yeah. I mean, you could also blitz him, that works too, you know, but...
How traditional of you, Kirby. And Conadura. You could have been a friend.
Foul him! Now I'm calling for the just Randy fouls. I was like, coming into this season, I was pretty like anti-foul. We'll get the pass just for some extra SPP, sure, why not? But like, at this point, who's contesting the ball carrier? I'd quite like to know, because I don't think Miniquin's going to get the ball back this game. I feel like he's just been shut out to a 2-1 loss.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of trying to get the score onto Vermin Fur and presumably pick up the wrestle for them to make them into an extremely efficient ball sacker, someone who knocks over the ball carrier.
Absolutely, that doesn't matter. As long as he stays uninjured, he's fine. Because now, there's only one player that can get to the ball carrier, I think. He's down, has to make 3 or 4 dodges into 3 or 4 tackle zones each.
I believe.
I mean, you have to go for it, right? Because if you don't go for it, I mean, he didn't even activate his blitz. I know he did activate his blitz, it just didn't look like he did.
Oh, you hate to see it.
Yeah.
Alright.
There was the play you had to make, but it was just extremely unlikely. Commiserations to Miniquin, but unfortunately you're going to lose this game to Conjura and the Jorvik Jets 2-1. And the Jets, after a pretty poor start to the season, have come back incredibly strong. Now sat at 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. They are very much set to at least contend for the few remaining playoff slots available at this point in time.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. As you said, you know, trying to break into that top 8 as we have the unfortunate MVPs from both sides landing on linemen, but hey, at least there was a decent amount of SPP gained across the board, with a few smattering of injuries. Sven Verminfer getting the full 6 and fell snout. The line rat able to hold that 5. The Thunderstrike is actually doing alright when it came to actual SVP gain, but as you said, those SVP aren't going to do you any good if you don't make playoffs.
Absolutely, and I'm going to quickly check where they stood coming into this, because I have a strange feeling that they might actually be out of contention at this point, unfortunately. That's not the right one. Apologies.
It's a mystery. But yes, as we mentioned before, there's a lot of teams with very similar records at this point. The Thunderstrikers certainly did well to start with, but they have taken a little bit of a dip recently. Certainly, I know that Jorvik Jets came to this, I believe, in 9th, so this should pump them up. Yeah.
Both teams came in at 2-1-2. Jets go to 3-1-2, and the Thunderstrikers go to 2-1-3. Best Thunderstrikers go with 3-1-3, and I don't know that there are going to be enough teams that do. Yeah, I think the Thunderstrikers are almost certainly out at this point.
Oh boy, the Thunderstrikers, they started so well, and now it felt like against the Skaven team, they just didn't have the tools they needed to be able to deal with another agility team who had all this block and dodge. There was no, tackle. There was no mighty blow piling on to actually get rid of players.
Absolutely. Like, this is the thing about progression, right? You're getting all these extra skills that let your elves do these amazing things, but if you're just playing the majority of these guys are like level 1 basic elves who have no real abilities, you just sort of stood there trying to punch your way into a cage that you really don't have the abilities to break through. And the Jets recognise this, opted for the slower paths, and ended up just shutting out the game completely. So well played by them.
Alright, so we're going to take a short break for our final game of the evening. Kirby, why don't you tell the fine people out there why they should stick around and see the main event?
Well, we've been talking about the playoff spots quite a bit this broadcast, but two teams that have, I would want to say, guaranteed their slots, because at least one definitely has. The Khemri side of OYBBR has been an absolute dominant piece in the NUEL Blood Bowl season, having gone 5 wins, no draws, no losses, and only conceding their first touchdown last week. They have seemed completely unstoppable so far. Challenging them this time, the Chaos side, coached by Karaka, it will be Java programming. Are they going to be the ones to stop the inevitable horde, or will the Khemri continue to surge onwards?
Alright guys, so the winning streak at stake in our final game of the evening, coming up in just 3 minutes time. Grab your popcorn, because Masterful is going to show us once again why the Khemri are a team to be feared. Friends, Welcome back to the main event. It's time to see the undefeated streak of Masterful's Khemri put up against Java Programming, the Chaos team we have never seen on stream up until now, but have been quietly clawing, biting, gnashing their way up through the table, and now stand as the latest contender to that unbeaten streak.
Absolutely. And to be fair to them, they are probably one of the few... Probably the only team at this point that hasn't actually had a go that could conceivably do it. Team value is obviously important factor going into Blood Bowl. It's sort of a good measure of how strong your teams are. And I think at this point, Java Programming is actually the only team with a higher team value than OYBBL represent themselves. Only 50 higher, but they're very... I say quietly, like we haven't just been showing them, they have been doing very well, have levels on 6 of their players, have access to a lot of good skills, and could potentially take a decent chunk out of this Khemri side.
Yeah, we see the team value is actually pretty starkly different from each other. Java Programming with a whole bunch of block and sure hands up to 1340, whereas OYBBL represent with a very slim 1130 themselves. A lot of those strength concentrated in the Tomb Guardians, of course.
I don't know that team value is accurate.
That's
1290.
Oh, well, that would explain it. That seemed a little bit low to me. 1290. Yes, it is. Okay, there you go. That's just a little bit out of date. All right.
Alright, I'm going to work out where that extra team value is coming from. Okay, the fan factor's not there, which is 50k. And also there's a few missing levels.
Let's get that all updated before we get into it then.
Yeah, there's some guards on Ancient Grandma and Ancient Auntie.
Oh, I see what it is. It's that the... I forgot to update the team value, though I did put in the new skills. So, Mighty Blow and Guard for Ancient Grandma.
And Ancient Auntie, as well as Classy Charles, one of the Blitz Ras. We also have Dodge on Sure as Hell Henry, one of the Throw Ras. As well as a couple of Mighty Blows. Ancient Grandma possibly the most notable of them, given how many people she's slapped across the face, as well as on Magic Mike, who also has access to Tackle.
Yes, that is pretty scary. Mighty Blow and Tackle. Of course, the Tackle not going to come in hugely important in this game. When I say hugely important, it's not going to do anything at all.
They have a couple of blocks on the side of Java Programming. They have 3 Beastmen with block, 1 with plus strength, and 2 with sure hand, so they just have options as to who their ball carrier is going to be. Beyond that, it should be a pretty closely contested game.
Yeah, 5 fan factors, not too shabby actually. There we go, 50. Are we up to the right? We are! Excellent! I do apologise, guys, for messing that up. But let's waste no more time and get into the game itself, because it's not all about these numbers, it's about the numbers on the pitch. Oh boy.
Absolutely.
This is...
end of the game, there's only 2 numbers that matters. That's your score and the opponent's score. And ideally you want your number to be higher.
Yes. Alright, so this is the only game we've seen so far where it's actually felt like maybe Masterful's come into it as a little bit of an underdog.
Let's not push that, shall we? Like, yes, he has the lower team value, but we've seen how good of a player he is, and they're not too that far out. If you take out team fan factor, they're only 30 out from each other, right? They are incredibly close teams, but given you've seen how good Masterful has been able to play these games, right? He's been able to like control the ball and control the pitch so expertly that unless Karaka has an answer to that, I don't know that he can win.
It's definitely not a a likely outcome at all based on everything we've seen before.
Like, it could have turned out that Karaka is an amazing player, but we've seen time and time again how amazing Masterful is, how good he is shutting out games completely. And, well, to be fair, we actually haven't seen Karaka at all, so we don't actually know how good of a coach he is, but he could be amazing. He could be not amazing. There's only one way to find out, and we're about to find it out right now.
Alright, so let's look across at what we've got here for the Chaos team. We've got a Minotaur. We've got only 3 Chaos Warriors, presumably a consequence of taking that Minotaur early on. I say early on. Recursion has only got 4 SVP so far, so the season hasn't been terribly kind to them as far as their development goes.
Java programming, recursion development, I'm just done.
Are you seeing the theme here?
I unfortunately, You know, as a man who has done computer science, I'm quite happy to not have to deal with all these puns, but unfortunately, they're all puns, and we're going to have to deal with them, so let's go.
Yeah, I mean, Karaka being from Newcastle University, a computer science student, just going with what they know there, as we are seeing, another Minotaur on the line of scrimmage. I mean, you compare, the AV8 to the AV9, and also putting the strength plus strength player conditional loops up there as well. This is very bold.
They want to take the brawl. Unfortunately, Masterful is very good at brawling. So we'll have one of the throwers back to receive the ball, and I believe the rest of the players are going to be up front and punching.
Oh, that's a big, big catch there for Masterful Squad. That was going to be, let's see, it was a 5+ catch and it went through, which means there's no chance of seeing the usual Khemri problem of not being able to pick up the ball repeatedly to start off the game.
But usually it doesn't matter because you have some excellent line holders in these Tomb Guardians, in these Blitz Rars, who are just able to completely decimate anyone who dare oppose them. Getting a good number of knockdowns on the initial line of blocks. We only see a pushback on this plus strength beastman though. So these be disengaged from the team as we see even more blocks coming through here.
Yeah, solid start, but nothing too amazing from the initial punch-a-thon. The strong armor for the most part of the Chaos team managing to hold firm. That's 3 Chaos Warriors face down. Well, not face down, face up on the pitch. So they will be coming back next turn. No real ground gained as of yet.
Oh yeah, but this is fine because the Khemri don't necessarily need ground per turn. They just need to get the inevitable wear down of players, and that's how they get advantage. Because when you stop being able to contest them, that's when they start bringing the ball forwards. Currently, there's no beastmen who can get to the ball carrier, and there's not many beastmen who are actually able to punch any of these Khemri, let alone deal any lasting damage.
Yeah, for any of you guys who haven't seen these Tomb Guardians before, movement 4 is really the only thing that's bad about them, apart from, I suppose, their low agility. But strength 5, armor value 9, and as we got here, 2 of them with guard to push that strength advantage even further, alongside multiple mighty blows on the Blitzrar as well. There's a lot to be feared, as the wild animal will stop the movement forward, possibly for the best, of Recursion.
So they've sent one of their Minotaurs to the back, Beastmen to the back to try and get the sack onto the thrower. But unfortunately, he's not left many of the, Khemri in tackle zone, so I think he could just get blitzed back, or they could just bring the thrower across and just not deal with him in the first instance and just play this left flank entirely.
Not a great block there. There's been a couple of slightly unfortunate failed knockdowns, which I think the Khemri coach Master was hoping to get.
Yeah, he's at least able to bully away on this left side, and probably get a few knocks towards this end, so that's a reroll.
Oh boy, I'm not... This feels like maybe a misstep from Masterful. They put their ancient grandma, who of course is the most fearsome of grandmas. Okay, there we go. I thought they were going to be in a position to get knocked over by the Minotaur. They might still be if an assist comes in.
They have double guards.
Oh, double guard.
Never mind. That's more than enough to at least make sure the block isn't even at worst, I feel. So they oh, wait, no, that's going to be a knocks out of pitch result, isn't it? No, it's double skulls.
Wow.
Dirty Dave gets done dirty by Nuffle, and that's going to be a turnover.
Okay, so the Karaka definitely playing optimistic with the sending of medium horn around the back. Will finally get rewarded. And yes, I stopped looking when I noticed that it was one guard, and I didn't notice that second guard. So the centre of the pitch, firmly in the control of the Khemri squad. There's no way you get rid of those Tomb Guardians, but maybe you get around them. Yep,
they've managed to punch a hole on that right side, so they're going to be able to send a few more Beastmen across. The Blitz is going to be used here to get Bigo in contention with the ball carrier, and he's actually going to be able to get there. Question, does he have enough backup to make sure he gets a good block, or at least doesn't get blocked back out of the way? And looks like at least with that extra beastman, he should be fine for the short term. Knockdown comes down onto Ancient Grandma, but no arm break given, and that's going to be a skull, and that's going to be nested Ivs put straight in the face. Turnover continues straight back.
Yeah, once their mum writes back from home, may have to deal with empty nested syndrome. I don't know.
I hate you so much.
I made my choices. I have to live with them. All right. So the Khemri team on the side of the pitch. Looks like they're not. Maybe. Oh no. Okay. I think I see what's gonna happen here, which is gonna be a chain block.
Push. Yes.
A chain push of maybe 2 different beastmen off the pitch.
I don't think I have enough to get 2 beastmen off the. Or do they? I can't remember how the sort of angled blocks work at this.
Yeah, this will push them off.
Oh, but in which case, yeah, it's 2 beastmen straight off the pitch in excellent positioning by.
Oh, jeez.
I can keep going on about how good Masterful is, right? That's how good Masterful is. He turned what could have been a disastrous situation when they had 2 beastmen on the ball carrier into, yeah, you're both off the pitch now. I have complete control again. Gonna get a big 1-2 down and out.
Oh boy. Okay, so with 3 players taken out in 1 turn, it's looking a little bit dicey here. So while none of those players are in permanent fashion, that's still
complete pitch control to Masterful, and we've seen what Masterful does with complete pitch control. The answer is a great deal of nothing into a touchdown. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to sort of accept your fate and try and do as much damage as you can.
Alright, 1 dice blocks on the Ancient Grandma. You know you shouldn't mess with Ancient Grandma, but somehow it's worked out. The Chaos team, despite everything, seem to be on some kind of path towards taking back the center. 1 dice block into a skull. Oh boy.
I feel like that was the best block he had access to, but unfortunately he just wasn't able to make anything come of it, because again, these Tomb Guardians, they have strength 5, they are so terrifying to play into, and you just sort of need to deal with them, but you can't deal with them because they're still strength 5. You're going to get a strong flank set up on this left side here. They're able to safely bring up this throw art with the ball. And I don't necessarily... I mean, they can blitz him, sure, but they don't know how safe that blitz is to make in the first place, and I don't think you're going to let each other to, because the strength 4 beastman who could do it is just going to get brought down now.
Oh, and breaking armor as well on conditional loops makes it all the more certain the Khemri's inevitable advance will remain extremely inevitable. The Bastion of Chaos strength in the sense is looking more dicey by the second as well. Given that we've got a team with 3 different blocking it from the Chaos team, I wouldn't be surprised to see some uphill 2 red dice blocks being made against these Tomb Guardians, just because there's very little else left for the Chaos team to do. They're getting nailed off of the pitch, and even while those pushes before didn't lead to anything more serious, this half at least belongs firmly to Masterful.
Yes, it's Masterful sort of bread and butter, where he gets control of the ball, he generates some space with good positioning and good playmaking, and that's going to be a stun on one of the blitz Ras. At least some small advantages Classy Charles will... is actually one of the ones we got, so he's one of the better ones to take out.
That's 1 dice block into... oh, a second 1 dice block, which just got a knockdown. Uh-oh! What's going to happen? Ancient Grandma! No, the curse of the Grandma will befall you.
Alright, so Recursion is most certainly cursed at this point in time, but he's at least dealt with one of the star players of OYBBL represent. Because both down means that no further damage shall befall them. I mean, Java Program do actually need to get on top of the ball carrier. It's all fine and dandy taking out 2 guards inside of the pitch, but it doesn't stop the fact that you're getting a touchdown score on yourself. And whether you can force it now, Masterful will get his will and drag it out over several turns. You need to do something. You need to do something relatively soon.
Okay, so I'm trying to work out what the actual active TV is here for the Chaos team. But, I mean, they came into this with the somewhat of an advantage. Ancient Grandma being taken out is pretty major. I mean, while the Khemri team are definitely not going to, are not going to not score, if Ancient Grandma doesn't come back, that's the most valuable player of the Khemri team taken out of the equation.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that we could set up Karaka very nicely for the second half play, where they will certainly go to need to try and level out the game. A few blocks going in from Masterful here, but no permanent damage being dealt, but has given them complete control of this midfield. But, oh, there's the arm break. And
Medium Horn! Yeah, gonna get Apothecaried, because that is a 12 SPP Beastman, but no Apothecary for the rest of the game. And of course, Khemri, they don't have Apothecaries in the first place, they don't care about that.
Yeah, like that could have been so disastrous. Because fair enough if the player dies, but like losing the player in this very important game, because like this could potentially decide who comes out on top of the playoff hunt, right? Like you want that all the SPP for winning. You want to come into the playoffs as high as possible. You need the wins. Even if you're like locked for playoffs, you still need that positional advantage. I actually don't know if Job Program is locked for playoffs. They could potentially get knocked out still with a couple of losses. Like, there are a lot of teams in the hunt right now. You need to realise this.
Yes, I mean, Masterful has definitely distorted things by just how far ahead of everyone else they've been. As Mike, I believe that's going to be the one getting up there. Oh no, Classy Child's the other one. The other Blitzer with guard and block, moving into position to secure this first score. It does seem like Masterful is feeling a little bit of the pressure here. Even while the numbers advantage falls to the Khemri, we've still got a potential strength 5 blitz from conditional loops to deal with.
I'll be with you a second. I think I need to sneeze again.
Aha! Allergic to Khemri. I don't blame you. Oh, that's going to be a block. That's going to be a down Minotaur recursion. Put to the pitch. Not armor broken, fortunately for Karaka, with no apothecary to call upon. The ball carrier moved on to the far side of all the Chaos players. I think it's still... Ooh, okay, there we go. Just a little bit of a slapping in there. So a run around. And a... Aha! Well, very short stint on the pitch there for Recursion. Pops up, decides to go back down again. Don't worry, no one saw it.
But yeah, that's... Because they actually haven't managed to advance any players this turn, it's going to be the full stall out here from Masterful. He's going to have his full 8-turn touchdown that he's such a big fan of. You've seen it time and time again. And I don't think there's anyone that can even like get any value out of punching at this point. There's got that 1 strength 4 beast in him, but he's not really... I mean, they can try and maybe punch a Blitz Roar or something, but there's not much he can do at this point in time.
I was almost certain we were about to see a foul onto Recursion, the Minotaur, because they are one of the more vulnerable players in the team. And there are Khemri players who are very foul worthy. In fact, I think maybe that's what we're about to see. We've got a Dirty Dave, the skeleton here, who's very, capable of fouling. And yep, there we go. It's going to be a almost guaranteed armor break. What are we going to get?
Stunned.
Or just a stun.
But now it's going to be the immediate wake-up blitz here from conditional loops, but he's only able to get a knockback.
Oof. I mean, you get... Oh, okay.
That's all he can do with his turn. Like, he could maybe get a few more men up, but they can't block, so he'd just be feeding them to the bones, I guess. Like, you'd best off just taking the 1 blitz you can take, and then just leaving the rest on the floor. You take 1 punch, 1 foul, and that's going to be it, and that's going to be a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it's going to be conditional loops receiving the visit from the foul fairy this time round.
Bring every player down, just punch him in the face, and then it was he said to go for that foul.
Okay, so Magic Mike, I imagine, is looking for a both down here, otherwise this could actually end up pushing them conditional loops away. There we go, both down. No injury, but the... of course, the problem here is they can't actually go for the foul because they might get sent off, and in which case, they wouldn't get the score. So, Masterful grabs that one. A pretty solid first half. There were some moments where I believed that we might see the Chaos team pull off something.
Well, there's still another half to play, and this time it will be the Java program side receiving the ball. So if they can do the same thing back to Masterful, they have a chance. Ancient Grandma is down if she doesn't get back up. Wait, I didn't know which side was going first there. That was it's very full. Ancient Grandma wakes up. She woke up. That was like a very late animation, but it definitely said knocked out 0. So Ancient Grandma's back in the fight, and that knockout didn't actually matter in the end.
Okay, so back into things once again. Let's see, did Masterful pick up any kind of shenanigans? Wait, what was that? That's the... It's two... I don't even know that icon.
Wise the Babe and... Cheering...
It must be something along the lines of cheerleaders or something similar to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chaos team, they've now got their 1 turn to do with the Khemri team as they wish so far. No injuries have stuck. Recursion will get a chance to get a level here. If they can get an
Recursion will
injury.
have a chance of just getting a good punching on this front line, because he needs to be one of these players who deals with these Tomb Guardians, right? He's the one that has the best stats to deal with them.
I don't know, though.
I mean, it's not like it's still an uphill battle, but you need to have some way of dealing with them. You're a punchy team. You need to have some method about punching, and they're going to commit fully to this punching.
Well, there's so much guard in the Khemri frontline that I think you almost can't make any of those hits because you can't negate the guard, and you haven't got any guard
punch
of your
the
own.
guys with guard. That's how you do it.
Well, I mean, their buddy's got guard as well. Everyone's got guard. There's 3 different guards, and they're almost all on the front line.
Not properly though. 2 on the front line, and the Minotaur was in an upset where he can punch the guy with guard and not have a guard done to him. What was that pass?
Oh, physics student did a good job, but whatever the heck that means, OOP, I think? Does that mean something to you?
Programming.
Oh! The thing is, theoretically I took a Java course, but I never got anywhere with it.
He's theoretically took a theoretical Java course.
Yes, I learned about theoreticals, but not too much else.
Alright, are we going to see the same setup again? Because I honestly thought that was the start of the second half.
It's an easy mistake to make because this second half will, beginning of, it's going to look pretty similar. In fact, I think, are they...
No, they're going to take a step back because this isn't going to be a free punchy. Also,
Yes.
wait,
Oh, the Chaos are kicking, aren't they?
no, I thought the Masterful was kicking because he received last time. I think Masterful just did the same setup because I think he thought it was second half as well.
This does mean that the Tomb Guardians might well be quite easily bypassed by the Chaos squad by being so central like that, as I'm not a big fan of the... Oh, there we go, a quick snap, which will allow the Minotaur to get out of that position, which is really not great for them, and move to a much softer target for their mighty blow.
The move on Tomb Guardian is only 4, isn't it? They can absolutely be outmaneuvered. It's just a question of can you outmaneuver the rest of the pit field well, because they're spread out, maybe not as tightly around the sides as they'd perhaps like. They still bring players across to it.
Okay, that's rolling a 6 on the catch there for that strength 4 conditional loops Beastman, a very good ball carrier. And it looks like the Chaos team might be able to mulch the left-hand flank of the Khemri squad here, as the Tomb Guardian's guard is not going to come into play, I suspect, for the time being. They're going to have to try and punch through the Chaos team to get back to the ball.
Yeah, you can see the cage has sort of been filled up already, even before the blocks even come through. And now with the blocks coming through, it looks like an even more solid formation to have. As you see the sort of like players that could contest the ball carrier now just laying on the floor.
Oh, Dirty Dave is going to get clonked. All kinds of clonked. Only going to be a stun, but that does mean that it's going to be all the tougher for the Khemri team to get in, as we have reinforcements arriving to help out Minotaur. Bighorn 2. A 2 dice block doesn't go so well, but it's going to be Ancient Uncle knocked over, and a ferocious dropkick. I don't know why they made that for the animation, but I'm glad they did. That's another stun.
Yeah, like I said, these 2 guardians can be brought down. It's absolutely doable. And now you have 2 is that OOP just knocking around the rest of the skeletons on the rest of the pitch. Now, OOPBL for the first time in a while are actually playing at man's advantage on the pitch because most of them are just stunned. I'll bring a few skeletons. That's the throw actually around the back to try and slow this advance, but I don't know how effective it's actually going to be because again, most of your damage dealers, the Tomb Guardians, are either out of range or incapable of doing so.
Well, I mean, the problem as well here is if Masterful brings all these Tomb Guardians back to try and stop the advance here, it's very easy for the Chaos team to then just switch flanks and leave the Tomb Guardians stuck in the middle of the pitch with nowhere to go.
It's not that easy. They are still Chaos. They are amazingly fast. They're only move 6. They are pretty committed to this left side as well. You can see how deep the ball carrier is. They can move the ball out, but it's not going to be just so fast, and it should be slow enough that the Khemri side can respond. I think they are fully committed to playing this left side now. Can they break through these last few blitz rods and throw rods and get to the end zone?
We'll have to see. I mean, there's a pretty strong defense from Masterful on the left-hand side. I thought, okay, that wasn't where I was expecting it to go. But Ancient Grandpa are going to get clonked in the face by a frenzied Minotaur. So, not bad, but that doesn't get the Chaos team broken through, and that does mean that Ancient Grandma, with a mighty blow of her own, is going to get to hit Recursion back on next turn.
Yeah, that's a terrifying prospect. They have... Oh, we're setting up the Cage Ultramassive Cage, I see.
Oh no, the brick! The brick formation, the most feared formation in all of Blood Bowl. Not feared by the opponent's side, but feared by the team's fans because of the chain pushing possibilities. And Recursion survives the experience. But that brick is building.
I still like Byron's Cage Ultramassive Cage the first time we saw it on the broadcast. Oh yeah, the front edges are going to get peeled off here.
Okay.
And players will be shoved around the edges, but no one actually left in contact with the ball carrier because it's going to left open so this blitz can come through. Except it's not going to be on the ball carrier, it's going to be on this adjacent Little Horn.
Yeah, Little Horn, big dreams of making it through this game. Does survive the experience.
What we have left here is a bunch of players that are in front of the ball carrier, and none of them are in base-to-base contact with anyone, so they can't be punched through easily. This is, again, Masterful setting up his defenses excellently. This is going to be another turn where the Chaos side just has to sort of stand by and watch his object-oriented programming finally gets put to rest. Object-oriented is fine, I'm not sure why I'm aiming on it so hard.
I mean, you know, it had it coming, honestly. So yeah, it does feel like Masterful's done a pretty darn good job of trying to close the Chaos team into a cage. I mean, we see the Cracker has no compunctions about just going full ham on trying to slap people, and that's going to be the case here. That's another stun. This is the first game we've seen, I think, all season when the Khemri team have really started to take, you know, any real amount of armor breaks, even if they're only turning into stuns. It does give a little bit of room to work with. As oh boy, the sure hands mathematics student does go in for classy charge, gonna knock them all on their butts, but still be kind of tied up with the mass of Khemri players.
Yeah, it's just sort of a real condition to play from if you're the son of Java programming, where you have all these players around your ball carrier. This
what?
Frenzy sometimes just gives you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and that's going to be Ancient Grandma knocked out. Curse of the Grandma. Sure.
That is crazy. That's the second time Ancient Grandma's gotten KO'd this game.
By recursion. Second time she got KO'd by recursion.
Oh my gosh, you think the name was a clue? We were missing what was in front of us the whole time.
God.
My God. So, there we go. So this, yeah, so the path is... Okay, I thought the path was going to get opened to move the ball down this way, but didn't ultimately end up getting taken. Recursion will finally end up on the butt, and also get KO'd. There we go, the curse is still good.
It's only a KO, let's not go too hard here.
Hey, you KO Ancient Grandma, you're gonna get put down in short order.
I'm just waiting for the Ancient Grandma MVP, I'm going to be real with you, that's what usually happens.
I mean, Ancient Grandma's always the MVP.
In our hearts, definitely. Double Skull's going to get immediately re-rolled. So yeah, at least now Java programming at least can remain in base contact with a good chunk of this. I was going to say a good chunk, but with that knockback. No, he steps forward? He steps forward? I guess he needs to get the guard block off, but... He does get him into access to the ball carrier, but he's doing such a good job of avoiding contact this year. He's just really has to take that.
There have been some super bad blocks for Masterful in this game. So many pushes, skulls coming through as well. And that's going to be a knockdown onto Classy Charles. That's one of the guard pieces taken out of contention. And it means that Ancient Grandpa is now vulnerable as well.
If Ancient Grandpa goes down, he only needs to make one dodge to safety, and it's going to be into no tackle zones. I think the ball carrier might have just got loose, especially with armor break.
Every time I see a Tomb Guardian get knocked down, I'm always... it's always a heart stopper because they've got the decay skill, which means that they will take 2 injuries anytime an injury is taken. There's the blitz, the line has been opened up the left of the pitch, and immediately, no hesitation at all from conditional loops. They are headed towards glory. They're looking to try and be only the second team to ever score against this Masterful Khemri squad.
I'm just trying to think, can he... He might have to play for a draw, is the thing. And it's like, do you trust Khemri to not score in 4 turns, 5 turns with the ball? 4 turns with the ball? Because if you think you could take the ball out of the hands of Khemri in 4 turns, you absolutely just run it in right now. You have no block there, Eyeless Eric. You're down and out.
Man, yeah, the Tomb Guardians, at this point, they've been rendered more or less irrelevant. As we do have the hit coming through onto Magic Mike, will clock them, take them out of contention, and yeah, we get to see, will Karaka try and stall out? It looks to be that they will be. That low movement of the Khemri finally coming back to bite them.
Yeah, this is Java program. Well, Karaka missing. Okay, I don't know. I could strip the ball out of the Khemri side in 4 turns, so I'm just going to make sure they don't score in 4 turns by giving them 2 turns, if that, and saying I'm going to take this game to a draw, and I am going to take Masterful's undefeated record, even if it's only going to be a draw.
We do have... What a difference a few blocks make. It looked like the Khemri team had the Chaos team on lockdown, but instead it looks to be the other way around. The Skeletons, definitely one of the weaker points of the Khemri squad, are not able to stand up to these block beastmen. Are getting clobbered in pretty short order.
We'll see if just... I'm going to see a lot of punching here, but I don't necessarily know if anything's going to come of it, except for maybe injuries. Because, again, the Khemri side does not have movement to contest the ball carrier at this point. They might try and, like, get someone loose to at least force the touchdown to come, but even if it comes, I don't know that the Khemri have enough move to actually score a touchdown back at this point.
No follow-up on the blitz there means that Magic Mike is not able to make any moves towards the ball carrier. Perhaps Masterful just looking to try and cause as much pain as possible. We know Masterful is secure up at the top of the table, so win here is not essential for them, but it would mean an enormous amount for Karaka to break that winning streak prior to the playoffs.
Absolutely, but also does a great deal for himself in his playoff hunt. Make sure he get the right one here. Currently he is sat at 3-1-1, so he's definitely ahead in the playoff race right now, but he's by no means a lock for playoffs. Even a draw here takes him to 3-2-1. That looks extremely likely to just make playoffs in any position.
Alright, so unless we see something very...
well...
Re-rolling the 1 dice block. Hey, you're killing me, Karaka, but you've got the ball about as far away from the Khemri team as you could possibly ask for. Ancient Uncle is the only one really in a position, along with backup from Eyeless Eric, but turns are running out. You mentioned how quickly can the Khemri score. I do not think it's going to even maybe be quick enough in the 2 turns they would presumably have to do it.
They don't have the legs to score in 2 turns. They need a riot. They need some form of like high nonsense to have a chance of scoring this point. They're just playing for SPP here. And they will not get off that one. It looked promising for half a second there. Semicolon stun outs. We're getting on the block. It's just going to be a shove, but this is what they're going to do for the last couple turns. It's just going to be a slugfest.
Ooh, Ancient Auntie.
None of the 2 guys actually have block. They are just entirely relying on the strength advantage to give them good dice. Style on them.
That Karaka, I mean, that was pretty spicy. I enjoyed that little dance. Yeah, before the score there. So there we go. Only the 2nd team to ever score against Masterful, and it's looking like we might be on the road to Masterful's first not win.
Well, yeah.
I mean, okay, well, there we go. I feel like... Oh, wait, did they just get up at the very last second?
They all woke up.
They got woke.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's going to be... Both can play at full strength for 2 turns for Masterful and 1 turn for Karaka. I don't think we're going to see a touchdown. I think we're just going to see 2 teams butt heads, attempt to gain some injuries, get some SPP, hopefully knock each other a peg down going into playoffs, and that's going to be the game.
We'll have to see. A riot could change that, or some kind of shenanigans. Masterful, you have to think it's going to be playing for even the smallest possibility of something weird happening here. So kick goes in. It is a blitz, which means that Java programmer with only 1 turn can't score themselves, but they can sure as heck make it tricky for Masterful to pull off even the smallest of chances.
Absolutely. I mean, Classy Charles going down, so that's going to be some more like the positional flanking benefits that the Blitzers typically have. That's one with God as well, so that's definitely one of the better ones to take out. They'll be able to move some of their players around, not necessarily into tackle zones, but into positions where they can counter hit people, so like they come forward to try and contest them. And those scrimmage, they can just get punched back in the face. And yeah, just going to bring players around.
So the Blitz doesn't get onto the ball, but it does at least shut down the left-hand flank. The bouncing ball there almost works out. Unfortunately, a 4 rolled on a 5+ needed means that no pickup for Masterful. These agility 2 skeletons. Not the ones you really want to be relying on, but reliable. Hit on 2. The Chaos War actually nested ifs rather than the Minotaur, because I think we've got a follow-up block from Ancient Arty.
Yep, it's going to be stumbles. Just a knockdown, no arm break given. But that is all of their... No, they have a block on the left flank. That is just a little skeleton, I believe. I don't think he's going to have any chance to really bring down a beast with block. He might just choose to pass that. Oh wait, no, he needs to make dodge rolls and actually get on the floor, or at least get out of the side of the pitch, because right now he is going to end up in the crowd.
Chasing down the pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Wait, surely... Can you just pad down a bit? 1, 2, 3, 4... No, the line is going to get tripped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... Okay, if they make that pass and 2 go for it, he gets a touchdown.
Alright, can Karaka squash the dreams of Masterful to hold on to that unbeaten streak that has lasted all season so far? The Chaos team, they've survived through the game. They've managed to get a touchdown. But can they secure a celebrated squashing of Masterful, who's seem to be unbeatable as the going for it will fail? There is a reroll there. It's going to need to be a second going for it, and it does happen.
Okay, so just to clarify, now to score a touchdown, the ball needs to end up in the hands of it. I don't know which skeleton that is in the back line.
It's awkward, Albert.
And he needs to make a dodge roll at altitude. And that's before we consider how he gets the ball in the first place. Because right now the ball carrier is marked up. He can make a short pass and have that the skeleton make a run play. But it's like looking extremely unlikely he gets this touchdown. So naturally, it's Masterful. He's going to make something happen. But his options are very RNG heavy right now, and that's not necessarily gone in his favour this game, as we've seen how many skulls he's rolled this game.
Yes, the dice have finally turned against our maths and business management student from the University of Sheffield.
When the ball is loose, they can make this pass, or is it going to be actually a handoff?
It's going to be a handoff. It's one less dice to roll. Unfortunately, you're handing it off to a Khemri player in a touchdown, in a tackle zone. It's a failure, and with that, the end of the game. Masterful fails to score, and that is their very first game they have not won all season long.
The streak is over. No, that was actually really nicely done by Java programming. They was actually able to take and maintain field positioning, and yes, so Masterful was getting some bad luck, but he was sort of like forced in some really awkward positions where he was forced to take some unfortunate blocks, especially towards the end of that drive when Java programming did actually manage to get that score through. And that's actually managed to bring them to a draw, and that haven't done the numbers yet, but I think that does actually put them as a lock for playoffs at this point, so congratulations to them.
Yeah, and object-oriented programming, OOP, getting the MVP will also pump them up to being a level 3 player, so we'll definitely keep an eye out for what they end up picking up. The Beastmen definitely start to get tremendously more dangerous once they reach that stage of development. They can get mighty blows, they can get claws, they can get all manner of marvellous things. Let's have a look at those SPP. As you can see, it was a game relatively light on actual injuries and scoring. Only the MVP, 1 score and 1 injury for Ancient Uncle during the whole of that game.
We saw a great deal of arm breaks, but unfortunately most of them just ended up being stuns in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, it's really surprising that, if you take a look at the statistics, we had I think, yeah, over 100 blocks thrown in that game, and still only 1 injury.
Yeah, it's actually insane. But yeah, that's... Like, what BBL represent will still be doing fighting going into the end of the playoffs, right? They're still top of the table. They are still absolutely the team to beat right now. But the sort of like aura of immortality has definitely been broken at this point. It can be beaten. It can be done. Now it's just a question of, can a team do it? And can a team actually win, especially in a playoffs format?
Yes, we'll be looking out for them very, very carefully going forward. But before we are done for this evening, let's take a look at our final couple of matches, which you didn't get to show on stream. Let's see. So, of course, we saw the very top of the table, but one of the other ones we didn't get to see this time is that the other 2 top teams were also playing against each other, which was going to be West Street War up against Mystery Inc. Let's go and take a look at what they managed. So they also fought to a draw, but 2 deaths for the West Street War. That is incredibly harsh so close to the playoffs.
The West Street War are definitely a team that we're looking to... I am sort of scared to look at their team sheet now, because they were a team that was definitely looking to like make playoffs with an amazingly wide, deep roster. And with 2 deaths this late into the tournament, I could actually be the dreams of winning the entire thing broken into tiny little pieces, which is extremely sad to see this late in the tourney.
Alright, let's take a look around some of our other games as well. Let's see what else we've got for us. So, we also had the Svensters versus Last Minute Team Name, and it's starting to seem like maybe it was an unlucky week for some of our teams, as they also took 2 deaths in the last game.
Oh, and I think the Svensters are one of those teams that were like in the hunt. They were like one of the teams that I think they were 7th coming into this week, actually. But with that death and the loss of Big Sven, you can see it there, the skull injury. That's a lot of team value wiped off the planet. Granted, to be fair, in the games where we've seen Big Sven, he hasn't necessarily performed. But it's still a great loss to take this late into the tournament, and it could potentially set them back, especially considering at this point they're definitely not a lock for playoffs. They definitely need a win to get into contention. I don't even know if that's enough at this point, so interested to see how next week pans out for them.
Yeah, it's gonna really suck to not only lose your big guy, but also lose the MVP and the game at the same time. Really rough stuff. Last Minute Team Name, though, celebrating a good amount of armor breaks there, and they push themselves up further. So we'll keep an eye out for them to see if they can sneaky beak around the place. Let's see, what else have we got? So, of course, we saw the Dead Ends going up and chasing the Bloods before. The Stevo Rangers did go up against the Bretonian team at Fortnite. And Fortnite's been one of our other top teams, even with, oh boy, 2 armor breaks total against the 12 of the Stevo Rangers, still managed to win the game.
That must be some amazing field presence from the Fortnites to get punched that hard and to just get back up again and say, no, we are scoring this touchdown and you're going to lose this game. So presumably there's some serious shenanigans going on the pitch, but well played by the Fortnites to clutch it out anyway.
Yeah, real nice stuff. Let's see, do we have anyone else to go through since I think let's see, so, as well, we did have Spontaneous Spice, who we've seen a fair few times up against the Renaissance Painters. Another draw to try and keep the table as, well, I'd say as static as possible, but this means all of these drawing teams, they're staying pretty much where they are, whereas the teams that won, like the Jets, get the chance to leapfrog them.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily know that this helps either team's playoff chances that greatly. Trying to see where these teams were. Renaissance Painters, I believe, were in that sort of group at 2-1-2 that could contest, but that puts them at 2-2-2. A win could get them in playoffs, but I don't actually know at this point in time. We're trying to see where Spice started the week. 1-1-3, and with that draw, I think at this point Spice are, in fact, out of playoff contention.
Oh boy, that's tough with another week still to play. Let's see, do we have any more? Any more?
Freddie Moore?
Let's see, is that a play game? No.
No, that's a default win for the Cheez-Its, who I believe were already out of playoff race.
Okay, we've got our final game from last week, which fortunately actually isn't a draw this time round. It's a winner for Blitz or Nothing. So 2 wins for the Dark Elves this week up against Ogre Construction Limited, who also, you guessed it, took a death.
This has been a very bloody week, hasn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's not been the games on stream that have been seeing the deaths.
We
saw one, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I think there's been about 4 or 5 deaths this week over the course of the games. So we've been as protected as we maybe could have been.
Yeah, it's especially to see, because again, these are the final weeks. These are the weeks that decide we get into playoffs. And even then, if you make it into playoffs, you haven't won the tournament because you still need to win playoffs.
Yeah, so, I mean, people are going to need to... Even if you sneak in at 8th, you're going to end up going up against the higher seeds, potentially even the number 1 seed in Masterful straight away. So it's a pretty big ask. For Blitz or Nothing, their MVP landing on a Blitzer, who'd already got some SVP in pocket, so that will be a level up completed. But I think that brings us to the end of the matches we've got, so we have to see how this all ended up working out on the table. So from the bottom... we've got, let's see, so Spontaneous Spice was mentioned before. So CAF unable to actually play this season, but Spontaneous Spice have not managed to capture a game so far. The Biting Mangrove Bruisers as well. Oh, hello, that's not supposed to be there. Let's check up on the higher table though, and let's see, so where are we looking at for the teams that are close to making top 8?
So... I'm just trying to do some quick maths in my head, and that's not necessarily a good thing. OIBBR plays one of those teams, but let's say that one of those wins. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 teams at 3+ wins. So 5 teams will end up 4 wins. So you need 3 wins to contend for one of 3 remaining slots, and there's going to be at least 5 teams doing that. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath for these last slots, let me tell you, and I would need to actually break this down, because there are so many ways this could go in terms of who makes it to where, and honestly, it's still all to play for. Even the teams at 2 wins, I think, can make in by the skins of their teeth. Teeth? You get the idea.
How many teeth do they have at the end of the bottom match?
The skin of their gums, because that's all I have left by the time they're done. They had to get punched in the face so hard. It's absolute cluster, everything here, and it's still to play for with 1 week remaining. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Torvid's defending the top 8 with 3 and 1. But yeah, right, it's so very close, and with all these draws knocking around, you've got Karaka, you've got Hogdude Scott, both, and Lozra with 3 wins and 2 draws, which means if you get 4 wins, you're gonna leapfrog over them if they lose their games. Oh boy. Yeah. Alright guys, so, 1 more week of the regular season left to go before we break into the playoffs. The top 8, of course, we know the Masterful is pretty much a lock. Karaka as well with a draw this evening, but with one, in that final week, we could see some of our players who are pretty close to the top 8 getting swept away. We could see the Jets cooled if their team gets annihilated. They are rats after all. Kirby, but just drawing on your intuition, who do you think is going to make that top 8 cut by the end of next week?
Okay, OIBOL represent.
Of course.
Java Programming, Mystery Inc., West Street War.
Those seem like a sensible top 4.
Dead End's last minute team name. Jets. And
Okay.
I think the Fortnites.
Ooh, okay. They're 8th now. You think they're going to stay there?
I think they will stay around that position, yes.
Okay. But do let us know, guys. to join up with the NUEL Discord, discord.gg/NUEL. Let us know what you reckon. You can get yourself the Blood Bowl role and come and join in the conversation. For now, I've been Counterfeit, joined by XCubby. One more week of the regular season. There's 3 weeks of playoffs to determine our first ever NUEL Blood Bowl champion. We hope you'll come along with us for the ride. But for now, have a wonderful evening and plenty more good games.